Alright, EA Ermor turned 63. I'm going to be trying to record these as they come in. It's just actually a little more fun for me to do it that way, although it does give me less flexibility, so no guarantee that I'm going to stick with that. This could be a momentous turn. Dire portents, of course. Oh yeah, and we're getting hit. Okay, so Russ is coming at us hard. That makes sense. And yeah, Battle in Agartha. That's what I'm most concerned about. So let's take a look at this. Okay, he's just trying to cheese me with some foul vapors, it looks like. Nice. That's a good idea. And he's probably going to burn gems, which is sad because we don't have a ton of gems. Ravenous Swarm. Okay, nice. That's good. So he's just trying to get rid of my white mages here, right? Because that's a anti-undead spell. And I don't have a lot of like dead in my army, but we do summon a ton of undead. So it's probably not going to do anything unless I get unlucky. Which I might. We'll see. You know, it's going to take us a second. Like, yeah, he tries to, you know, summon in a little bit of cover, but like, yeah, we have a full army here, so a few bugs isn't really going to do much. But, you know, he does get to see my script, right? So like, that's also kind of a scouting move. So yeah, I wasn't expecting that. That's really nice, and that's unfortunate for us. Let's see if we lose anything. We lose a white mage. So yeah, we do actually have a few undead bodyguards, you know, with us, and that is something that, you know, people say, you know, reanimation, the spell, that's how you bring in like these permanent long dead. It's kind of a waste of death gems, people feel like, which overall I mostly agree with, but I think, you know, having a few present at the start, you know, especially for a situation like this where I don't have a ton of undead, it does help cover you against this. So I mean, you know, we lose a white mage, but, you know, he loses 2 wizards, and that always hurts to lose wizards, and we find a bunch of gear, and then he scouts our army. We probably burn gems. Let's actually double check that we burn gems. So, like, on the balance, that's probably in his favor. Let's see. No, you know what? I don't think we burn gems, actually, which is very nice, because we have a lot of gems. Yeah, we have a lot of gems, so that's good. So I would say this is probably a win for us, maybe a wash, because, you know, he does get to see my full army, and then of course we're taking a lot of arrows, but we're doing our own BS. So we're casting Mind Hunt. You resisted, of course. Okay, this was successful. So I doubled up on the Mind Hunt in this province, although it looks like we Mind Hunted different people. Yeah, okay, so this force may still move. But that's almost maybe a good thing, right? Because it's going to move out with like half of the units or without mage support. And so, yeah, we got lucky here. We are pretty susceptible. This is Seeking Arrow, which it costs a decent amount of air gems and normally isn't great because it doesn't deal a ton of damage. But, you know, when you just have old men in robes, it's kind of dangerous. Yeah, so here we lose a bishop. And I think he's just targeting my capital, it looks like, which makes sense. Like, he's probably trying to shut down my mind hunting operation. We should put some domes up, and that'll help against that. And then let's see, we had somebody teleport. Okay, we had another guy. Okay, we survived though, so that's another arrow. There's gonna be a lot of arrows, although, you know, it's fewer air elementals that we're gonna see, right? I mean, anytime somebody's spending air gems on something other than air elementals, you know, myself included, it's kind of always like a questionable decision. And then we get attacked in quite a few places. These are probably magic phase attacks, so these are probably like cloud trapezing thugs, I'm guessing. Yeah. And, like, not too worried about these. These are probably air elemental raids. Or, yeah, he's casting Swarm. Like, yeah, we just have a few slingers here. This is going to work out just fine for him. But, like, we can recapture, like, this kind of stuff. So, and, you know, he has to use wizards for this. I do think he can foreign recruit these Thunder Priests out of forests. We should probably aim to get rid of forests. So, yeah, and then there's the air elemental. So, like, yeah, this is totally, like, competent. I like it. It is a little dangerous, but he gave him a lion pelt, right? And that helps his protection a lot. So, you know, this is no longer a guy in robes. It's a dude in a lion pelt, and is much more likely to survive, especially slingers are probably the worst PD type. Probably should have just put 1 PD there. I don't even think it's worth putting, like, 6 points of PD. Okay, this is our site searcher who is just retreating immediately because he's carrying so much gear. So yeah, that's good. And then this is a cap only mage. Really cool, these guys. He's got a ring of returning, so you know, if he takes any damage, he's just gonna pop back to wherever he cast that, probably his capital. He's got a ton of gems. He made some bugs with him. Ravenous Swarm, very nice. Oh, that's extra rough. So he's got some scouts in my territory for sure. You know, well, I don't know about for sure, but it seems unlikely that he'd be casting that just at random, right? Because again, that's targeting the undead. So that's very cool. I didn't really think of that. It's a weakness, I would say, of early age Ermor, especially if you're kind of relying on undead thugs or white mages, which is pretty common for early age Ermor. So like, yeah, I really like this play. Hadn't really considered that before. I knew that this was going to be a tough fight. Like, yeah, this player seems good. You know, they're doing really well in this game. I think they actually subbed into this position, and like the previous player, I actually like the bless that they put together. But I don't know how like well they did in the game. So I think our commander escaped. Let's see. Oh wait, no, these are slingers. Yeah, they didn't do very well. Okay, yeah. So our white mage escapes, and again, right, I have like some undead bodyguards here, which honestly I did cross my mind that it's probably good to have a few like chaff undead targets, because there's plenty of spells that target the undead. I wasn't specifically thinking about this case, but also the white mages have this chill aura, so giving them just human bodyguards, like they just freeze to death. So that's not ideal. So this wasn't totally planned, but it is really working out. And let's make sure that we actually retreat successfully. We do, so that's fine, although we'll have to keep running, and then we get hit one more magic phase attack. So this is cool. I forgot that, like, you know, Russ actually gets a good amount of air, so of course they can do a bunch of cloud trapezing. This is actually, yeah, okay, so I PD dumped here, and these are our raiders who are planning on jumping off next turn, but I was expecting to be attacked here. And okay, yeah, this guy's got full gear. How much fire? Not much fire resistance, which could become relevant in a bit. Oh, is it on the bless? It's probably, no, it's not on the bless. Nice. So we're probably screwed here because, I mean, barbarians are scary, but his defense skill's high enough. He's got the fire shield. He's got the vine shield, which is going to wrap the barbarians like really effectively. And in a lot of ways, our legionaries are probably going to do even worse because they're just going to have trouble. His protection is probably, well, actually, it's not that great. So the legionaries might do okay, although they don't have amazing magic resistance either. Barbarians are scary, right? But yeah, and this guy's nice. He's got Astral on him. Yeah, maybe you should do some magic duel against these guys, because that's, yeah, it's going to suck for him. We'll talk about that if I actually pull that off. But he made himself ethereal, so like, yeah, these regular troops. And of course I have a temple here, so very sad to be losing that temple. We did get it for free, but I was actually thinking about recruiting some of our foreign recruit mages here, and we'll probably lose the Centurion as well. Okay, nice. The Centurion's going to escape because he's kind of expensive, and if you have to use 4 turns for him, so that's sad. We do actually have reinforcements coming here, so it's going to be a little bit awkward. I wasn't considering like the magic phase. I was expecting an attack. I wasn't expecting like a magic phase attack in this location. And then, yeah, we had an assassination attempt on one of his Thunder Priests, who's probably just out sight searching. Yeah, and he's just naked. Oh, air shield is the first spell. That could be bad. Okay, that worked out for us. So we needed to hit that first arrow. And of course, now he's been feeble-minded, right? Because this is our guy with the black bow, our over-kitted assassin. But it worked out for us, right? Like, you know, it's at least a good kit if it's, you know, perhaps too much kit. The Vineman maybe could have pulled it off anyway, so, you know, but that works out. So we like to get rid of those, you know, that's one of the guys that can cloud trapeze, and then we get attacked somewhere else. This is a normal phase attack, so just movement. Okay, yeah, just a small group of his sacreds, and, you know, we're gonna see a lot more of this. And yeah, we just have a few units here, or just our PD rather. So what is this guy doing? Oh shoot, it looks like this is actually the commander for this group. That's kind of interesting. Or wait, is this guy? No, yeah. The direwolf is in command. So yeah, we're not going to stop those sacreds. They aren't going to get blessed though, and that will be pretty easy to mind hunt, I believe. That was here. Right, because this direwolf probably doesn't have very good, yeah, really terrible magic resistance, right? So we should be able to strand this group of sacreds pretty easily. It does look like, well, no. I was going to say that, maybe he just sent out like the really messed up ones. But, yeah, these guys, the Berserkers, they tend to take a lot of damage. So a lot of them tend to get like pretty messed up. And then we caught a few other battles between other people. So this looks like Ubar and Pelagia are fighting each other. That's very sad for Ubar. Always, rough when the underwater nations mess with you. And looks like he's using, so hold on, who is who here? So this is Ubar, right, of course, because he's got this caster, and he's using a bunch of these fire drakes who deal a lot of damage, but they have okay morale. They tend to rout. They're undisciplined. They tend to friendly fire a lot, so it's good that he's not using it with like any other troops. They're kind of expensive and slow to bring in, but I mean, as you can see, like that fire breath, it does work. So yeah, that's cool. And then we had an attack. I actually don't remember what this is. Oh, right, because we got raided here, right? So this is our secondary army moving out. That's going to go mess up the capital. Yeah, this guy, he's our fellow in a lion pelt, but he has no gems left. So let's actually see, are we going to... Ooh, buffing some of our demons. We're probably not using gems. I'm hoping somebody's just going to throw a Soul Slay out. Oh yeah, they twist fate first, because we got to worry about the bless. That's probably good in this case as well, but of course, yeah. Devils are super nasty. They don't have a lot of protection, so they tend to die, and it is a little sad. He probably is aware that we have devils, because I've been patrolling like inconsistently on my capital, so we're so close. I'm sure he's scouted me, so he probably already knew about the devils, but if he didn't, he definitely knows now. And then, yeah, Abyssia is attacking out against Vanheim, and I think he's saying he was going to take one of his forts this turn. And like, yeah, this is pretty much just burning ones against quite a bit of PD, actually, but it won't matter because burning ones are pretty good. And I recall the Bless being solid, and he's got some caster support. Yep. So he's got the fire jars, and it looks like, yeah, pretty much just fire jars and fire elementals. Very nice. I hope that Vanheim has some fire resistance, although at this point in the game, like, this is one of the problems with Abyssia, right? And like kind of why like people don't like fire magic in Abyssia. It just, you're fairly one-dimensional, especially in the early age. I do think they get some blood, so hopefully Abyssia, has a few other tools at this point that they can rely on, because while like this is really powerful, he's also got a global up here, Heat from Hell, a fatigue play, very nice, and of course he's not going to care about that. So like, yeah, I really like all this stuff. Like, this is a solid like Abyssian army. But it is in the cold, right? So that does hurt a little bit, and then it's kind of like, well, but what if they have a lot of fire resistance? And then it's like, then we're in trouble. So a strong army, definitely, like, cool stuff. And also it's nice because he doesn't really burn like any gems, right? So like, unlike my army, right, it's just burning gems to high heaven. This can just keep taking provinces, keep taking fights, and like, he doesn't have to worry about resupplying it. It can take as many fights in one turn, yeah, there's a lot of cool things about this army, but it is very one-dimensional. And I know the Vanheim player is like pretty good, so there's a chance we're going to see that army, get countered. And then of course, right, Burden of Time is still ongoing. We had some unexpected events, found one nature gem, that's fine. We lose a little bit of tax. Ooh, plague. We might actually want to try to do something about that. You don't want the plague to spread. Worldwide event. Oh, right, we have an arena match. We prevented a disaster. Ooh, we lost 2 scouts to Femoria. That is very sad. Let's take a look. I don't think haven't really seen too much of Femoria. So I was jumping on some of their forts, and it looks like they are patrolling their forts. Yeah, so they're using a bunch of these Numidians, which are cap only, not sacred though. Yeah, he's got some Lamias on bodyguard here. That's very cool. I wonder if he's gonna Soul Vortex, possibly? No, it doesn't quite have the paths. Can this guy bless himself? I think these guys, yeah, they're sacred. Yeah, and he's a priest. Come on, show me your bless. Holy Avenger. Ray's dead. Dang it. So yeah, we don't get to see his bless. That is very sad. Perhaps our other scout caught the bless. But yeah, interesting stuff. That's a lot of Numidians. But they're pretty good. They're just elven troops. Nothing wrong with that. Expensive, definitely. But that is the nature. Okay, yeah, this is quite an army. So he's got, these are just regular Fomorian warriors. They're okay. Size 4 is kind of an awkward awkward size, but it does mean they can combine in the same square with size 2 units. So that's cool. He's got a bunch of these gelatinous cubes, which can be very scary. And then he summoned in some Morgans. These are like pretty good. I haven't ever fought against them. Yeah, he put weapons of sharpness on them, some earth casting. Yeah, and he's got crystal sorceress communion here, all kinds of casters. He's got one of his kings. Is he gonna bless himself? And it doesn't really look like he's, yeah, so there's the soul vortex, right, on the Lamias, which, yeah, I could see that. Their magic resistance is a little on the high side, but they regenerate really, really fast. So he's, going to use these for fatigue. Yeah, although, wow, I think he just ate one. Maybe not. Maybe she regen back up. You can see they regenerate pretty quickly. Let's see, was there a bless? Nope, no bless. So we don't get to see what he's doing for the bless. But yeah, that's a pretty scary army. Oh, I think that's his god here. Yeah, the last Partholonian. Yeah, not super high pathing for the gods. So maybe like more of a scales build, which like, yeah, Femoria has a bunch of cool stuff. So scales I think is totally viable on Femoria. And then of course, yeah, we still have Agartha still breached. Not really sure what we're going to do there. Yomi has been eliminated. And then let's take a look at our Dire Portent. This looks like it's Niflheim again. And possibly this is Illwinter, or maybe it's a different nasty one that Niflheim can do. I'm not actually sure, so we'll have to take a look when we go through the turn. And I think that covers most of it. And we finally finished research in Conjuration 6, so we're going for Construction 7 next. And yeah, I'll see you guys after the cut. Okay, this is the situation and what we're doing about it. Before I forget, let's take a look at globals. So it looks like that was Illwinter. I thought it was a different spell, but I guess I just didn't remember the description. So Illwinter is back. Well of Misery is back. Burden of Time is back. Abyssia in the chat was a bit discouraged, which because all those spells are rough for Abyssia in kind of the same way that they're rough for me, except maybe worse. So yeah, I totally understand where Abyssia is coming from, and like I said, I think realistically, I'm not going to win this game. I don't really have much of a chance of that. I think it's between Niflheim and Therados, so we'll see. But nonetheless, this war against Russ, I think, is going to be really interesting. Has been interesting so far, and is definitely still worth playing through. So, in relation to that war, we scryed on the capital, and this is looking a lot more scary. This is definitely going to be somewhat inflated, right? Because there's a lot of corpse constructs here, which are annoying to kill. We do have shock resistance on the bless, so that'll help a lot, because that's the main way, when you strike corpse constructs, they shock you. That's the main way they deal damage. So don't have to worry too much about that. Like Firebirds and Fine Ogres, he's not even going to want to take the Firebirds into combat. That's for like a luck trick. But the largest component is his Sacreds, 217. So even if there could be like 80, 90 skin shifters, and we saw I think 60 or 70 here. So obviously, he's slamming out as many as he can every turn. So wanted to jump on this as soon as possible, was planning on jumping on top of this fort and then threatening the capital, but I think with what's there and all the possible mage support and a possible PD dump, it seems a little too risky. So I think I want to try to raid forward first, and we're not really in position to do that, so we're still trying to figure out what our raiders are going to be. But I think just slamming this army into that is going to be too dangerous. Also, we see a substantial stack of ghouls from Saramesha on our border, and I don't know what these ghouls would be doing other than attacking us. I think it's unlikely that he's going to attack Russ. I guess it's possible, but considering that until last turn this was my province, it wouldn't really make sense for him to move here as an attack against Russ. And these ghouls are definitely not enough, to beat all these trolls, and there's no way he wants to tangle with Niflheim. So yeah, this feels negotiated. It's not impossible. Saramesha is a blood power, right? And I guess ghouls are probably decent patrollers. So, he could be setting up a blood hunting operation, but caves usually don't have a lot of population, and you want a lot of population for blood hunting. So I'm thinking this is probably a raid. So we're going to respond to it. Some of our movement got canceled last turn because of the magic phase attacks. And that's something that can happen. If you have a move that's valid, but then because magic phase battles happen first, then the province gets taken and the move is no longer valid because it takes more movement points to move into enemy territory. So we were trying to move some mages up here to support our hostati and raid forward, but the movement got canceled. So we're going to use those guys defensively instead. Same kind of thing, just fire elementals basically, and then luck and body ethereal spam on their bodyguards. I think it'll be enough. Ghouls aren't very good. And then we are using our Mind Hunt battery on this fellow, and then we're going to send our army at him in case the Mind Hunt doesn't succeed. And then we'll see from there, if Sarmesha does attack us, we may just try to take this fort, because we'll be close enough to counter any movement from Russ with our army, because if he moves out, then feeling a little better, especially since we'll be able to bring up reinforcements from the capital. It's a little risky to be sitting here on this fort with this army here. But we'll see. We could also move here and threaten the capital, and then maybe try to get loose. But that's a lot more dangerous because obviously we leave ourselves open to him just walking at our capital, and we don't have a ton. We're bringing some stuff up. These guys' movement got canceled. Our Skelly spammers, we can fill forts with Skelly spammers, and that makes them difficult to take. But his Sacreds and his Bless are pretty good against Skelly spam. So I think we're going to need a little more than that. So we do need to be careful about getting our army cut off from our capital, but we may just sit here for a turn and then release raiding parties and then retreat, because I looked through my scouting and we're assassinating here on his fort to be annoying. There's a few researcher wizards here. It's not a big deal, but it gives them something else to think about and worry about and try to deal with. But I was going through some of my scouting, and he doesn't seem to have he feels very much a soft underbelly, right? He has a very strong army here, right? And then he has a very strong army in the north. But we have a scout here on Helheim. There aren't even any mages here. He just has a few regular berserkers, which they're good troops, but 6 of them, I think we can handle that. He doesn't really have anything on this throne. Most of his forts seem relatively ungarrisoned. And his Bless is extremely powerful, right? And he's paying for that with pretty poor scales, not awful scales, but full sloth is rough and turmoil. So his recruitment is not great. And only 1 growth, a little bit of luck. He has drain, so his research is going to be kind of rough. So he's going to be kind of brittle, right? He's relying on his cap only Sacreds, and obviously that's why we wanted to attack his capital, to shut that off. But he's defending that too well. But I think if we can turn this into a wider war of attrition, possibly we can win. It's hard to say because he has a lot of capitals. He's got, this is Hinnom. There's Satis in here. Yeah, Satis, right? And then Helheim. So, he has significantly more capitals and probably more territory as well. I'm less sure about that, but he has a good amount of territory. So, usually you don't want to fight a war of attrition against someone that's bigger than you and has more resources than you. But because of his poor scales and the fact that, he's really relying on his Sacreds, which, are very limited in terms of the recruitment, I do feel that if we can get raiders loose, we might be able to wear him down, before we fight some major battles against him. Now that said, he does have a lot of magic phase answers, right? These kind of thugs are going to cloud trapeze on top of any of our raiding groups, but these are also capital only, and let's take a look. I think they're slow to recruit. Yeah, so they are. They're slow to recruit. And so I'm not sure, is that the only guy that can cloud trapeze? No, it's not the only guy that can cloud trapeze. So these Thunder Priests can also provide answers, but they're a little less scary, right? I mean, they can do air elementals, sure, and that's super effective. It's going to destroy most of our raiders that we're going to come up with as early age Ermor. But it's expensive, right? He has to use air gems for it, and otherwise their skills, trying to thug these guys, not such a great idea. These guys, decent thugs. Yeah, you slap a bunch of gear on them, and you don't have to use air elementals, to counter raid with these guys. But these guys can be recruited in forests. I don't think they can be recruited in forts. So it's going to be a little annoying for him to bring them in. And, what? He has 1, 2, 3, maybe. No, I think Ulm has this. He actually only has 2. I mean, he took this forest from us, but he doesn't have a ton of forests. And so if we can raid those and interrupt the production, and of course, because they have to be recruited outside of forts, even though there are only 2 recruitment points to bring in, they're still slow to recruit. So I'm hoping if we can, release some raiding parties into his territory, we're really going to be able to do work. And we're going to have a decent number of places to go, so hopefully it won't be too obvious with the PD dumps. Also in that vein, we're going to waste some death gems on an arouse hunger. Someone somewhere is casting it. I am assured of this. Yeah, here we go. So we're going to cast it up here. And there's nothing particularly special about this province except it has lots of connections. And it's, it's just some random highland. It's unlikely to have like a PD dump. Arouse Hunger can usually beat 6 PD, and then it's going to be very difficult for him to predict like where we're going to go with those ghouls, although we'll probably try to go for this forest. We'll see. We may use another remote attack spell and waste some nature gems to go after this forest. Haven't decided yet. So anyway, we're going to try to do more stuff like that. We might waste some air gems on some Call of the Winds and basically just try to step up the rating pressure a lot. We are bringing our Pretender home to our capital. The plan is to put up some domes, probably the Fire Dome first, which will burn down the lab potentially. Of anybody who's casting attack spells, and obviously we're getting hit in our capital. I expect that to continue, and we may put up some other domes as well. We'll see. Probably before we put up domes, we're going to use our Earth Gems to bring in a Troll King, and then we're going to use the trolls that come with the Troll King probably as a heavy raid squad, to sit on this fort, and then maybe try to release the trolls loose. And we don't mind losing the trolls because they cost a lot of upkeep. So that's kind of the thinking there. We may support them some light mage support. And then we may also summon in some eagles for siege support, because we're probably going to struggle to crack Saromatia's fort in one turn. And we do have to be careful. Saromatia can also skelly spam. So it is going to be a little annoying to get into their fort. We'll probably wait to try to storm until we get our air guy, our death air guy up, who can do Wailing Winds, which is pretty effective in a fort defense because we can just kind of sit back and let Wailing Winds take effect, and then anybody that retreats from an assault on the defender's side, they just automatically die. So even if we don't take the fort, we'll probably cause enough retreats that it'll be kind of catastrophic. That's of course assuming that Sarmatia attacks us, but I really am expecting this, but maybe I'm just being paranoid. Otherwise, most of this movement is just kind of reshuffling mages. We're basically just drawing mages out of the periphery towards combat zones. So we're drawing mages here, and then we're drawing some mages from here up to Ermor. And then we are recruiting some lizard auxiliaries, which I'm super excited about because I was very sad because we can't actually raid this cave because there's a river here. But lizard shamans, they can swim because they're lizards. And then, we have lizard troops. They can also swim. So we're going to use a couple of these guys as bodyguards on some lizard shamans and probably do some heavy swarm raiding into here. And then that'll hopefully support our raiders here who kind of got their butts kicked. So we'll see. We have a guy in position here for some more swarm raiding. This is going to be a somewhat, this group can go to a couple different provinces, so he may not PD dump. And we're recruiting these are the saddest Amazon provinces ever. But whatever, we're recruiting a couple Amazons, and this group will go in and support our swarm guys. So hopefully we'll step up the rating here and start to push into this area because this looks pretty much undefended. We're moving our assassin forward. Our other assassin is very sad that he's not recruiting any mages here because we'd like to do some assassinating, but we're just gonna hang out, right? If he does start to recruit mages here, we'll just dissuade him of that. We're attempting a raid here. This is pretty obvious in this barbarian PD, so he made PD dump here. It's a very valuable province, and this is a solid raiding group. 21 Hastati can take out quite a few barbarians, so 50-50 could go either way. And then we're going to ping a scout off of this fortification here just to see is he patrolling, has he PD dumped, just to try to get some information. And then probably the biggest news of the turn is that we're going in on Agartha. So not with everything. We're actually leaving... oops. This, of course, is the danger of not just sending everything. This guy is very important, and we do want him to participate in the attack. But the majority of our troops are not going to be participating. I say the majority. A good amount of our troops are not going to be participating. So a good chunk of our sacreds, pretty much none of our infantry is going to be participating. We actually are bringing the slingers in. So we have kind of the same formation, but our attack rear squads have been eliminated of our sacreds, and we've handed them out as bodyguards to all of our mages, right? So the idea is for the assault, we kind of just want to sit back and make fire elementals and skeletons, right? And let Wailing Winds do its thing. It would be nice if we could get Rigor Mortis up, but the white mage that normally would cast that, he was the one that died. So we probably could rejigger things, to get rigor mortis up, but it's not going to be great for our sacreds, and I don't have enough nature magic here to also do relief. So I just feel like more skeleton production is probably going to be better. Agartha doesn't actually have like a ton of troops in here. The main thing is their pretender, right, which we know all about. And then they're mages. They have some magma children. They're probably going to summon in like earth elementals and stuff like that. So we're just going to use the slingers to hopefully absorb, any rocks that get thrown at us, and just, magma kids that come out. We're going to try to hang them up on our slingers and provide a little bit of shield, right, for all these guys who are going to be bringing in fire elementals and skeletons. And then our communion is going to be sitting back here, just doing the everything, everything that we can do. Like I said, like Wailing Winds is kind of the big one. We're also going to do Howl with our nature magic, which is pretty good in siege situations. Now, of course, we may get attacked by Russ. I'm not expecting a full attack, considering that like he just sent a harassment attack. I'm kind of expecting another harassment attack, right? Because from his standpoint, like, I'm in kind of a bad situation because I'm sat on top of Agartha. Agartha may attack out. I can't resupply on gems. I can't recruit troops or mages, right? Whereas he can. Like, he's taken that fort. So he's getting stronger. I'm getting weaker. There's really no reason for him to rush into it, and I do think we could win. I'm not 100% sure. I counted it up. We have so many mages in this group. It's something like 30 mages. So it's like if I can't beat, and he's got like, I don't know, 4, 6, so this is a much higher investment army. Granted, his sacreds are very high investment, and he has a ton of those in that army, so it's a scary army, absolutely, but ours is a scary army too, and since he chose not to slam into it, it really depends. He took a look at it, so he may feel that, like, what, it's not that scary. Like, we can roll this over. And he might be right. So we'll see. He may attack. So we may have to fight 2 battles, which is always the risk. But, like, our formation is not terrible. It is going to be sad that, like, all of our sacreds are going to be on guard command. Not all, but a lot of our sacreds, right? We do still have other groups that aren't coming in. And they'll be loose, and they'll join our legionaries, like, in the main fight. And it's not like in a fight against Russ, our guys on guard commander, like, will do nothing. Because, we'll probably get pushed back, and it'll be ugly. We don't want Russ to attack us this turn. That's kind of the downside of the situation that we're in. We're just one turn too late. That one turn crack, super important. Russ got it, I didn't. So, maybe a difference in skill level or experience of the players. But we're going to risk it. We can't sit here and do nothing. We have other options, of course, like we fall back. Like, that's a bad idea. We're running out of time just in terms of the game at large. We could attack, right? But I've talked about like the PD situation, like, and then like Agartha gets loose, and at first I was like, how much can Agartha really do? They don't have that much stuff, but like we also don't have that much stuff, and we really need to send what we have like north to counter like what Russ is doing. So yeah, we just need to finish this Agartha situation off and then move on. So fingers crossed, we'll see. The other big danger is that we might burn out our communion, so we could win. But if we don't win fast enough, like we have a lot of, it's a big communion, but I definitely didn't work out the math. So we could burn out our communion, and that would be kind of catastrophic. We have some powerful mages here, so we're not completely dependent on our communion for our magical support, but it would be pretty bad. We're not too far away from, some of our forts, so we can bring other guys up, but it would definitely put us on the back foot for a second if we burned out our communion. So yeah, always a risk. I do think we got our scouts patrolled out. This is a Fort Marvernia capital, so very nice that Femoria is patrolling this. I approve of that. And they're just patrolling here in this random province, except that it borders Ulm. So I feel like he's still fighting Ulm probably, because he's probably trying to catch stealthy raiding groups. So I'm really hoping that this war is still ongoing, because it's not impossible that Russ reaches out, to Ulm. And I mean, there's a capital right here, right? That's not too far away from Ulm. So if Ulm isn't busy, he may decide to jump in. So possibly I should reach out to Ulm. I chose to reach out to Femoria instead and just ask him, like, hey, how's the war going? Because if the war is still ongoing, like, Ulm has enough problems. I could also possibly reach out to Ulm, about attacking Russ, right? Because they share a pretty substantial border, right? And this is like the big old soft underbelly. This player is good enough that I don't want them getting bigger. So I'm going to sit on that for now. I did reach out to Macone and ask them, like, hey, what's your relationship with Russ? And, just sort of sound that out, because they're actually in a pretty good position, to pick up a good amount of territory, in my opinion. Now, they are pretty small and probably pretty weak, so I don't really know what their investment is like in this game, and they may have been friendly with Russ like all games sort of thing. So we'll see. Nothing may come of that. And then in terms of research, where the research has dropped precipitously, we're mobilizing a lot more mages. Our research is not great, but like we've got enough stuff. Like Construction 7 would be nice. We do really need to hit that. We will still hit that. We'll hit that in 3 turns roughly. So not a big deal. And that's for Weapons of Sharpness to help cut through like a lot of the late game protection buffs, which I don't think Russ quite has yet because of their bad research, I'm hoping. But we'll see. And then like Alt 9 would be nice, but like not really strictly necessary to have. And like more conjuration, more research is always nice. But like there's nothing that we really like desperately need at this point. And then probably the final thing is we have deployed our little mirror here. So hopefully, if Ulm does have scouts or Vanheim does have scouts, like anybody that's looking here will be like, nah, like this is a lot of stuff. So this hopefully looks much better defended, or, I'm just playing mind games with myself and nobody's even scouting it. So, you never know with those items. And yeah, I think that covers turn 63.